There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
Here's the million-dollar question. Do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet? That extraterrestrial intelligence has visited planet Earth?
Non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new.
I think you can go a step further. It hasn't just visited, it's been here a long time.
If you had to assign a probability to that statement,
100%.
There's zero doubt.
You just need to look at what your government is doing right now about it.
Last August, the Pentagon set up the UAP task force to collect and analyze evidence.
We have identified some very, very interesting anomalous aircraft, we'll call them aircraft, displaying characteristics that are not currently within the U.S. inventory nor in any foreign inventory.
Multiple simultaneous sensor systems have seen these objects go from 50 feet to up to 14 miles and then back in less than a second. All right? I mean, that's just a truth.
It was just like a ping pong ball.
Like no predictable movement.
And just turns abruptly and starts mirroring me. So as I'm coming down, it starts coming up. When it gets right in front of me, it just disappears.
And they wrote sworn written statements. It was a square plane the size of a football field, silently floating over the launch pad.
There was a few times when no doubt in my mind, that's not an adversary.
Things that don't have any obvious flight surfaces, any obvious forms of propulsion, extreme maneuverability, hypersonic velocities, positive lift, again, seemingly defying the laws of aerodynamics.
There's nothing we could build that would be strong enough to endure that amount of force and acceleration.
And this has been captured on radar.
Yeah.
Now, they're very careful what they say. They say, well, we have no evidence of ET. If you read between the lines on the flip side of it, it does stuff that we can't do. We know that the Russians and the Chinese are not doing. If we had a piece of any of this, even a tiny piece of knowledge from that could revolutionize what it is that we're doing. And then my experience with people who, frankly, I know have worked or are working on the reverse engineering programs.
Okay, so let's take one step back. Reverse engineering program.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Maybe start off telling me your name and who you are.
My name is David Grush. I co-led the UAP portfolio for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency.
You are one of the most trusted former intelligence officials in the US defense and intelligence establishment. What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
Mr. Grush, do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
They're basing their opinions on the dozens of individuals who come forward and talk to them in classified settings.
There are people that have come forward to share information with our committee over the last couple of years.
People who have had firsthand knowledge of seeing this type of thing.
Or have firsthand knowledge or firsthand claims.
I know the people who were in the government legacy programs that oversaw both the crash retrieval and analysis of UAP data. And I'm very confident in these people, former intelligence, former DOD.
I understand some of these claims are things that are beyond sort of the realm of what any of us has ever dealt with. Most of these people at some point, or maybe even currently, have held very high clearances and high positions within our government. What incentive would so many people have to come forward and make something up?
You haven't been fed disinformation. It's a common thing in intelligence.
Yeah, I was very sensitive to that fact. You know, was this some kind of ruse against me? Am I being used in any kind of way? And I took about 4 years being very methodical before I filed my whistleblower complaint to be absolutely certain.
Does our government typically test advanced weapon systems right next to multi-million-dollar jets without informing our pilots?
No, we have test ranges for that. If the fastest plane on Earth was trying to do these maneuvers that you saw, would it be capable of doing that? No, not even close.
The reason why the Inspector General believed Mr. Grush was that he did his own investigations. He deposed own witnesses and asserted to the Congress that he believed his allegations were credible and urgent.
How does a program like that get funded? misappropriation of funds.
Does that mean that there is money in the budget that is set to go to a program, but it doesn't, and it goes to something else?
Yes.
Do you think U.S. corporations are overcharging for certain tech they're selling to the U.S. government, and that additional money is going to programs?
Correct, through something called IRAD.
The evidence may be in the hands of corporations outside government. So, for example, I had a person who used to be a high-level official in Lockheed Martin visit my home. I said, what do you think about David Grush's testimony? Is it conceivable that Lockheed Martin, for example, has any materials? And he said, I would not say that it is wrong. And that surprised me.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program. I talked to people who were familiar with the biological analysis and everything. I brought the people who worked on that stuff to the Hill. They went into all those details, and I remember, some of the professional staff members were like, whoa. Like they were like in G-Lock, right?
I'm trying to be protective of these people. Some of these people still work in the government. And frankly, a lot of them are very fearful.
Have you had incidences that have caused you to be in fear for your life?
Yes, personally. Okay. Yeah. There were certain colleagues of mine that were brutally administratively attacked. It actually makes me very upset to see that happen to other coworkers and actually superiors of mine over the last 3 years.
Why hasn't this leaked?
I guess ostensibly this has leaked like a sieve for decades.
I kept looking for their tails. They didn't have any tails. I thought, well, maybe something's wrong with my eyes.
There have been a certain percentage of this volume of reports that have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things, are in no way connected with any secret development by any department of the United States.
The Air Force is simply treating the American people like children. They don't trust them with the facts.
There would be no way of making a 90-degree turn 12,000 miles an hour or greater.
And you just can't do that in a fight. I'm convinced that they're probably from another planet.
The weather balloon story never made sense.
Being an intelligence officer, I was familiar with just about all materials used in aircraft and or air travel. This is nothing like that.
One that crashed in Kingman, Arizona. That's the first one that they took out to the test site.
I said, General, I know we have a room at Wright-Patterson where you put all this secret stuff. And I go in there, and I've never heard him get mad, but he got madder than hell at me.
Witness testimony from former or retired U.S. military personnel confirm beyond any doubt the reality of ongoing UFO incursions at nuclear weapons sites.
It sounds fantastic, and it is fantastic.
The object I saw was bright orangish red, like fire.
I saw this marine come out of the sky. There was this big ship. It was a silver oval thing. I saw the funny man with his eyes here, big black eyes. It had big eyes. Eyes that are bigger than ours. That's scared because I've never seen such a person like that before.
I thought this was just rubbish from the tabloids, but I was surprised to find thousands of U.S. government documents from intelligence agencies that tended to indicate that there was a little bit more to this than met the eye.
Do you anticipate that any of the recovered vehicles would ever become available for technological research?
10 years ago, the answer would have been no.
Yeah.
Whether in time has evolved, they're beginning to become more open on it.
There is some group of people somewhere that may or may not be associated with government at this point, but certainly were at one time, that have this knowledge.
The federal government all these years has put brake pads on everything. I think it's very, very bad for our country. What makes you think that this time is going to be different?
I mean, we're going to find out. There's a stigma on Capitol Hill.
You want me to risk my career talking about UFOs?
If you go back 15 or 20 years, if we were sitting here talking about UFOs, people would think that we were nutty. Now it's gotten to the level of where it is somewhat accepted.
It's a matter of time now. That genie's out of the bottle. It's just going to take a little more time legislatively.
For the first time, the National Archives will gather records from across the federal government on UAPs.
A requirement for the government to obtain any recovered UAP material
or biological remains that may have been provided to private entities in the past and thereby hidden from Congress and the American people.
We will keep working. I want to assure the American people, Senator Rounds and I will keep working.
It's being put in the National Defense Authorization Act, and it's regarding unidentified flying objects.
Starting with Mr. Graves, why did you come forward on this issue?
I was trained as an aviation safety officer by the Navy. I felt that my colleagues did not have a way to mitigate this safety threat, and I wanted to help them.
I was pestered by a friend, and I asked why, and he said, "You're the one person that they can't discredit."
Mr. Grush.
I don't want to be 60, 70 years old and have that, coulda, shoulda, woulda feeling where I could have made a difference.
I made the decision to leave my job and pursue this topic because it was the right thing to do.
The image was of something that I am not able to attach to any human capability from the United States or from any of our adversaries. And I'm somewhat informed on the matter, having served on the Armed Services Committee for 7 years, having served on the committee that oversees advanced technologies.
This town isn't made, unfortunately, by people like y'all. And I do want to also thank the people in the audience and the people that are watching this. It can't be people all over the world that have kept this issue alive.